Welcome back to 75Dually Garage. Today we're going to be looking at the fuel sender on my truck. I'm not getting a proper reading on the fuel gauge inside the truck, so I bought a new sender unit and we're going to install it today. Here's a part I got from O'Reilly's, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing the entire assembly today, and that's vent lines, return lines, feed lines, and also the big vent line for the filler. So all this assembly has to come out. We're going to put the new part back in, and hopefully that'll cure our issue. So let's get this unboxed and see what we got inside of it. New parts. New parts. Instruction sheet. Very nice. The nice thing about this, and one of the reasons I wanted to replace this, was that it had new seals and a new ring. As you can see below right here, the old ring had basically failed, and now I'm leaking diesel on top of the tank. So we're going to have to clean that up as well. So first things first, let's undo the wiring. Set that aside. Undo the ground. Unfortunately, the old ground had broken, so I had to make a quick fix. And then let's take off these lines and go from there. Alright, let's compare these two units. There's the new one. There's the one that I just pulled out of the tank. Now, when you put a Cummins engine, this is only my suggestion, you don't have to do it this way, but when you pull a Cummins engine and you're going to use like a 40-gallon tank, these kind of late 80s, early 90s tanks, they come with a fuel pump. So an electric fuel pump sits right here and it plumbs right into that fitting right there. So you'd have a big electric fuel pump that sits there. You don't need that on a Cummins engine. At least I didn't. What I did was I made a little adapter so that this point here sits exactly flush with where the bottom of the electric pump would sit. So that my fuel pickup point is at the same point that this one would be if it had an electric pump. So all I did was use a tube, couple brass fittings, and then the fitting for the end for the fuel sock, and from that just used some fuel line, a couple clamps, and that's how I set it up. One of the things you're going to note is on the old unit, I had bent this tube, and that was to get around the latch mechanism for the rear hatch here. So what we're going to do is take the new unit, and we're going to use our handy dandy tubing bender, and we're going to move that tube about 90 degrees. We put it on there, and we bend it down. Like so. So because all the wiring is not needed in this application, this connector goes to the original electric fuel pump, and I've simply just used a wire tie to tie it up out of the way and keep it from dangling down into the fuel. So this is pretty easy. Basically we're going to reinstall this directly in the same manner and way that we took out the old unit. And as you can see, there's tabs right here that this sits into. Then the locking ring comes in behind it and pushes that seal down, and that's the way you lock these in. Once you get the locking ring in, you put it underneath the tabs, and you simply use a little screwdriver and knock it around. Just like that. The next step is to take the new harness and plug it into the old harness. So the next step is to replace the ground wire with a new ground wire. And like normal on projects like this, there's always something that gets in your way, and my ground wire wasn't long enough, the original one that came with this particular system. Well, guess what? I had to extend it. So, do what you got to do when you got custom projects. There you go. So let's start the balance of the reassembly phase of this. Remember that tube we bent just a little bit ago? This is why this particular bear claw latch was in the way. So we'll simply slide that up. Get our pliers in there. And put the clip back. This particular vent hose comes from the fuel fill. We simply just reattach it. Okay, now we have to reattach these two fuel lines. This is the return line, and this is the main fuel feed line. And there is new O-rings that were already previously installed before I put the lines together. Yeah, it's a little hot in the shop tonight, but that wasn't that hard of an install. I mean, really, what we did was an easy replacement, and I know you guys can do this fairly easy. So, last thing we got to do is clean this off with some brake cleaner and button it all up. A little tech tip for you. I know probably almost all of you guys use brake parts cleaner out there. The stuff that I used to clean the tank in that time lapse was just Super Tech cheapo stuff from Walmart. $1.94 I think it is per can. I tell you what, guys, you know, you'll end up paying $4 or $5 at AutoZone or wherever you buy your brake parts cleaner at. This stuff works just the same as their stuff do. Maybe it leaves a tiny bit of a film or something like that. You're going to wipe the stuff off anyway. Use the cheapo stuff. By the way, I'm the guy that you can yell at because I'm the guy that buys the entire case at Walmart when they have a full case of it. I just grab it off the shelf, throw it in the cart, because I use it all the time in the shop. I'm always cleaning parts, and just a nice, little tech tip for you guys. Go cheap. So that's it for this evening at the 75Dually garage. We got our sender unit in. Now, the next step that we've got to do is we've got to check the gauge. Now, I wanted a new sender back here because the old gaskets were just completely fragged. But now I've got to go up and check the gauge. I might need to put a new one in. We'll just have to see. Thanks again for watching 75Dually Garage. If this is the first time that you've come and viewed my channel, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button down below. And the little bell that's right next to it. That'll get you notified on the next video that comes up. Also, do me a favor. Give me a like. Thanks again for watching 75Dually Garage.